This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Today's Thursday, the 28th of August, 2025. So glad you could join us here today. Coming up a little later on in our program, we're going to talk with the folks at agmarket.net to see how the market's traded today. But first, Riley Smith had a chance to catch up with Elizabeth Burns Thompson of the Modern Ag Alliance during the Farm Progress Show and get an update of the things they're working on.
We're at the Farm Progress Show 2025 in Decatur, Illinois, talking with Elizabeth Burns Thompson. She's the Executive Director of the Modern Ag Alliance. It's a great year, great weather for the show this year. As far as the Modern Ag Alliance is concerned here at Farm Progress Show, what's kind of your guys' main goal of wanting to speak with producers in attendance?
Yeah, so for your listeners or viewers that aren't familiar, the Modern Ag Alliance really is a fairly new organization. We're just over a year old. But a coalition of well over 100 different organizations, many of which farmers may be a member of. We've got a lot of commodity groups, state farm bureaus, and really organizations from coast to coast that have come together to work proactively to ensure that we continue to have access to the critical tools, chemistries that we depend upon to fight weeds in our fields. We've seen growing threats and risks to the availability and access of those tools, so we're really working on playing a little offense to make sure that we still have those moving forward.
And you mentioned just over a year old. How has that first full year been with the Modern Ag Alliance, some of the successes you guys have seen?
Yeah, we've had a busy first few months here in 2025 and some successes absolutely as well. So we worked proactively in about a dozen state legislatures this year. We're largely a policy organization and very pleased to say that we were able to get some of that those bills in across the finish line, up in North Dakota and down in Georgia. So really critical pieces of legislation that will provide clarity and consistency around pesticide labels to ensure that products are available moving forward. And we're really transitioning that then into some activities through the remainder of this year and gearing up for state legislative work in 2026 as well.
And you talked about those members of the Modern Ag Alliance, a lot of farm bureaus, and of course that's representing the farmers. And the best way for them to be represented is to speak up, make their voice heard through that. So what's kind of your encouragement for those farmers? It's make sure that their policy is getting put out there by making their voice heard.
Yes, so we still have way too many folks in both our state legislators and out in DC that don't have an understanding of what we do, how we do it, and why we do modern day agriculture that way. And so it's really important that farmers build those relationships with their lawmakers, again, in your state capitol, in your county chambers, in all the way out into Washington, D.C., because those folks are who are making the regulations, the rules, and basically determining the availability of technologies and biotechnologies and tools moving forward. And so if we want to be able to continue to have the freedom to farm, we've really got to engage as agriculture.
And then one last thing, Elizabeth, for kind of the sales pitch for any farmers who want to, make sure that they are getting involved and you want to see them getting involved as well. What would you say to them on that line of things?
I would say visit our website. So modernagalliance.org. We've got a wealth of materials and resources to get you up to speed on this issue, and then take that and engage based on that. So we have easy tools to be able to have outreach with lawmakers, as well as subject matter issues and just a constant evolving engagement. So reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, Elizabeth, thanks again for your time and enjoy the rest of Farm Progress Show.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much to Riley Smith and his guest, Elizabeth Burns Thompson of the Modern Ag Alliance. We got the closing markets coming up next, but first we're going to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. We're back on Ag Matters PM here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, talking with Kenan Layden of agmarket.net. And Kenan, what did we see happen in those grains today?
Yeah, so it was probably positive news day for grains. Started out with a little weakness this morning. in a lot of those commodities, and they're closing the day strong. Soybeans got down to support a 1040 area and they were able to hold, and now they're back up close to that 1050. Corn never got through that technical area of 401. It's back trading higher. And wheat, after making new lows, I guess anything's better than making new lows, and we had a little bit of a bounce today. Good exported inspections report today. China hasn't come in and bought soybeans, but exports to other countries have been good. Corn sales continue to be strong. Almost one of the top years for new crop corn exports up until this point in time, and wheat exports are well above pace needed to reach the USDA goal currently. So good news on the export front, and hopefully some positive momentum will be put back into these markets, even though it's hard with a large crop coming right here, right before harvest.
Was it that trade information that we saw, that export information, that really kind of pumped the brakes on a little bit here then today?
Yeah, that could be one. I'll also remember it's first notice day tomorrow too. So if you guys are in any longs, need to be out here in the next 5 minutes. Or else run the risk of being delivered on. So some maybe, adjusting of contracts. And, if a lot of your listeners probably are active on social media, big crop, how big, it's dry in certain regions. It's been dry all of August. So now comes the yield debate. Big yields put out by the USDA, how much of that's going to be lost due to disease pressure. Market without more information doesn't really seem to want to go lower right here, but does it really want to go that much higher? The answer so far has been no, without any more big fundamental news.
All right, and then moving over to the livestock side of things, cattle and hogs, how do we see them end up today?
Yeah, wild day in the cattle, as you hear a lot, started the day higher and then moved lower. I think there was 20 deliveries put out in that August live cattle contract to Kansas, which is interesting. And maybe that's one of the factors. Maybe there's some basis disappearing there in those live cattle and those live prices. Not a lot of cash trade this week, but they moved lower, and feeder cattle have followed them throughout the day. Cash sales were really strong yesterday. The feeder cattle index is projected to be up quite a bit today. So, cash as far as feeders go has been strong. And so that's not a factor here, but after you make new highs, sometimes the market needs to take a little breather. And so far, cattle, every time they take a breather, they seem to roar to new highs without any fundamental news to the negative. Hogs, positive on the hogs again here, a good technical breakout. Live, that lean hog index is trading above some of those contract months like the October and December month. They're pricing in a discount for this time of year, and maybe that discount's a little too steep currently. And so hogs had a positive day today.
All right. Well, Kenan, if folks want to pick your minds there at agmarket.net, maybe look at some of the intel, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, agmarket.net has all the information you need to get hooked up with some egg market information or to look for a broker in your area.
All right. Kenan Layden's been our guest today. Kenan, thanks so much for the insight. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Dustin.
Thanks again to the folks at agmarket.net for our closing analysis. But right now, we're going to take a look at the numbers on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network market screen. At the close, September corn up 3 at $3.85 1/2. Soybeans up a penny at $10.28 1/4. Soybean meal down $6.80 at $2.8630. Soy oil down 72 cents at $51.75. Chicago wheat up 8 cents at $5.10 1/4. Kansas winter wheat up 1 1/4 at $4.86 3/4. Kansas spring wheat down 1 3/4 at $5.07 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat up 4 1/4 at $5.55 1/4. Oats down 5 1/4 at $3.01 1/4. On the mark, live cattle down $2.60 at $236.92. Feeders down $3.60 at $361.80. Lean hogs 37 cents higher at $94.27. Pork cutouts unchanged at $102.22. And Class 3 milk down a nickel at $18.16. And that's been a check of our closing market recap, and that brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com, as well as follow us on Facebook, X, and on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified each time we put out a new video project. Also, don't forget about our 3 times a day market analysis sent free of charge right to your mobile device through the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network Market Podcasts. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Mark Magnus and Andy Peterson and Riley Smith, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.